YouTube, how the fuck you doing? Hey guys, Nadeshot. Today I'm bringing a brand new video. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. First off, I want to thank every single one of you for all the support on yesterday's video. That was my first time ever uploading Clash Royale. Like I said yesterday, I started playing this game like 3 days ago, and I've been loving it. I've grinded it. I did buy gems for everyone that watches this video. I'm a filthy gemmer. I just found out yesterday that was a thing, but I did buy gems to kind of expedite my experience with Clash Royale. But we are going to be doing another video today, and I've learned a little bit more about the game. You guys helped me in the comments with my deck, and I want to give a special shout out to Aaron Flores, who left a comment on one of my Road to 100 No Call of Duty videos. He suggested this deck and the play style, and it actually helped me out quite a bit. So let's hop into some games and see what happened. Okay, before we start, I just want to remind you guys one more time, this is only my second video of Clash Royale, so if I say anything stupid, just don't worry about it. Help me out in the comments. Be cool about it, and I'll be cool about it. I'm trying to get better, trying to learn. But this is about my second time playing with this new deck. The first game, the guy actually left halfway through, and I think really the entire idea behind this setup is to use my Musketeer, my Valkyrie, and my Hog Rider and freeze spell, you know, cohesively, so I can do some serious damage to this guy's base. So he calls in Barbarians right away, and I call him my Valkyrie because that's a great defense for such a strong ground unit like Barbarians. And he calls in freeze, so I just drop my cannon for a little bit of defense to buy myself some time, and he decides to pop off some arrows. Probably is not a very good idea against the setup that I had. So I call in my Hog Rider and my Valkyrie to get to the other side of the base, and then I call in my freeze, and I use it so effectively and get to do so much damage to his tower that as soon as this actually happened, he decided to leave the game. I took out his tower so quickly, and I executed my strategy so well that he was just thought to himself, you know what, I'm going to cut my losses. He might have raged out of the app, just double tap the home button and slid it up. So I call in my minion horde, and I just send him over, and we, do some devastating damage to the King's Tower. And this is my second win in a row with this deck. So I was super, super excited just because I seem to have a lot better variety in terms of offensive ground power, and then I can also use the cannon for defense. I have the minion horde for defense and offense through air support. So far it just seems like it's a lot better deck than what I had concocted up. So I'm really happy, and I'm excited to play some more games with this deck. So we're just going to jump into another game here. This was my third match right after this because I was on a roll. I was feeling myself. I was winning tons of trophies. It felt really, really good. And I didn't switch up my deck at all. Really just the same strategy. I called in my Valkyrie all the way in the back, so I give myself time to build some elixir. And then he actually called in a wizard or a witch on the other side of the map. And then he hit me with the curveball and brought out the P.E.K.K.A. I think that takes like 70 elixir to spawn in. So really, when I had my Valkyrie, I thought this is actually some really good defense, and I froze him up right away so I can do as much damage to that P.E.K.K.A. as I could. And my Warthog just it completely annihilated his tower. He spawned in a couple more units on the right side of the map, but I called in my cannon, and then I just tried to use these goblins as effectively as I could on the P.E.K.K.A. But then he decided that he was going to bring in a dragon, which my Musketeer is actually great defense for that dragon from what I've learned, and my tower was probably just going to clean up that that 70 elixir P.E.K.K.A. pretty easily. And then I even brought in the Valkyrie. I'm still not sure what the best defense is against a witch. If you guys would put in a suggestion, I would very much appreciate it. I just haven't found that sweet spot, that perfect unit for that. So I decided to bring in my Hog Rider once again, and I still have that freeze potion. He brings in some Barbarians to try and do some work against me. I decided not to use my freeze spell because my Hog Rider was just taking way too much damage. And then I bring in another cannon to play some defense on all those skeletons and those Barbarians. And again, those goblins are such low elixir cost to me, so I just bring them in, and they do some pretty decent damage against any units that get to my base. But this is kind of like reset mode for me. I called in my Musketeer to let my elixir build, and that can do some really good damage. And it's the 60 seconds hit, and then it's all bets are off. I just bring in all the units. He brings in the P.E.K.K.A. again, which I still can't tell if that's a good unit to use. It just seems like it's so much elixir and it's such a slow unit that if you don't use it incredibly well, you're not going to get much success. And my cannon has been perfect for this entire game because it's doing such good defense for me. And he's got some serious firepower coming in. He's got barbarians, he's got the P.E.K.K.A., but he doesn't really have an effective way of taking out my Valkyrie. So I just call in my cannon and I do some devastating damage to his barbarians. And then I bring in that tower once again. He uses rage to really do some, bring up his units damage and speed, but freeze just comes in and I just go to work. And then I bring in my Warthog on the other side of the map, do a little bit more damage. I'm just kind of eating away at him. And he kind of freaked me out because he finally took out one of my towers and I didn't really realize what was happening at the time. But I wasn't really too worried just because I have his King's Tower down to about 317 health. So at that point, I just thought to myself, all right, well, I'm going to freeze his... And really, I didn't even have to play any defense on this side of the map. I called in freeze and tried to stop his barbarians, which I don't really think was necessary. All I had to do was take my Hog Rider to the other side of the map and try to take out his King's Tower, and that's exactly what I did. So that was my third win in a row. I think we did a pretty good job of not worrying too much about... I think we did a pretty good job of worrying not too much about offense all the time. I felt like when I first started playing this game, my only instinct and my only thought process was to try and take out the towers as fast as I could. But instead, I played methodically. I used the defense to my strength. I played the game, I think, a pretty smart way, and then I took my fights when I could get them and took out the XP and the health of those towers as well as I could. So 3 wins in a row. I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling hot. It's going really, really, really well. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself last night, we are on a roll, 3 games in a row. So I start up another battle. Let's try to keep this winning streak going. And then they put us in a new arena that I've never actually been in. I think it's called Spell Valley. I'm trying really not to screw anything up when I talk to you guys. I don't want to get roasted in the comments. But I was like, holy crap. This is my only chance to succeed in life, to win my first game ever on Spell Valley. So right away, I start the game. And, looking back on his deck, it's actually very, very similar to mine in a lot of different ways, but you guys are going to see he has a spell called Mirror, and I actually didn't know that existed. So the same strategy, keeps kind of happening with this deck. I call in the Musketeer at the beginning, build some elixir. He calls in Barbarians right away, and I've seen this before. I had to deal with it a game or two ago. So I just call in my cannon, but then he hits me with the minions. And then I bring in the minion horde right away, and then his Valkyrie actually takes me out on the right side. So I was still trying to gauge on how he was playing. He was doing a good job of calling in units very quickly. He took out my horde with those arrows. He had a Valkyrie. Like I said, a lot of similarities in the decks that we were using, and then he actually was running minions and the minion horde. So right away, I thought to myself, all right, well, I got to figure this out. So I bring my arrows to try and... Wait, did I decide? Okay, I did use the arrows. I was thinking that my tower would probably take them out. I didn't need to waste elixir on those areas, and maybe I didn't. I'm not really sure. But then I think he used the mirror right there to call in the minion horde that I had just previously called in. So that was the first time I've ever seen that. And he's using 2 spells. He's got freeze, and then he also has mirror, which I just was very surprised by that. I've never encountered that before. So there was a lot of things for me to learn. So he's got the Valkyrie, calls in the Goblin. He's got goblins. So I call in my cannon, try to do as much damage as I can. He calls in those minions. And then my Valkyrie finally starts to move. But it's probably just going to take too much damage. And right now it's, a stronghold. Neither of us have really done significant damage to each other's towers. I felt like this was my time to bring out Freeze and my Hog Rider for the first time. And he calls in his Barbarians right away to try and do some damage. And it really gave me an opening to put some solid hits into that tower. So yeah, I felt like that was a pretty decent execution, but then he has a big order sent over my way. I call in my minion horde. He uses freeze, and thankfully he actually missed with what he was trying to do. So my cannon was able to do some decent damage, and also my minion horde really saved me there. I thought my tower was gone for sure at that point. And then I have my hog rider. My freeze worked out perfectly with the timing. We have the Valkyrie doing solid damage to those barbarians, so I don't really have to worry about it. I have my arrows in, and I felt like that was like probably the most perfect offensive strategy that I actually had. Like everything was so well executed. Everything worked out with the best timing. And with how the clock was winding down, I thought to myself, you know, I have a win here. I get away with the hair on my chinny chin chin with 85 health on that tower. He hits me with the crying face. I hit him with a good game. And I win my first game ever in Spell Valley. I was so hyped about that, and I was so excited. Okay, so this next game, I really wanted to upload a loss because I need your guys' help and I need suggestions just like I got in the comments yesterday. So we won 4 games in a row, and I lost the last game, which I'm not going to show you guys because it was really close. I don't think that I had any trouble with what he was using. I think that he just had his deck stacked with powerful opponents. So for me, it would just, I lost 2-3. It was really close. I'm not too worried about it, but this guy gave me a lot of trouble if I remember. So I actually have no idea what that unit is at the top left, if you guys can see it with the fiery face. I'm not sure what it's called. I don't have it unlocked. So for me, when I go up against it, I don't really know what to use. And he has a goblin hut. And sometimes I have a hard time figuring out how to play against people that use a lot of huts, you know, whether it's barbarian hut, goblin hut. He uses the fireball right there, which does a pretty significant damage to my musketeer. So I call in my minion horde, I call in my hog rider, and then I have no idea what those things are, but holy crap, did you guys just see how fast those took out my unit? Luckily, I've been getting so many Twitter notifications in this video. Luckily, I was able to do some pretty big damage to his tower, but then he calls in spear goblins, he calls in his barbarians, he uses that fireball against my cannon. I call in my Valkyrie to try and do as much damage as I can to those units and really stop them. So at this point, I thought I was in a really good position to win this game. I was very confident because I had that tower down to about a 511 health. And my tower on the left side was just doing a good job of getting rid of those spear goblins. I didn't have to worry about them. So he brings over the musketeer. You know, I just call in my goblins, you know, take him out really quickly. And it was probably a little bit of bad timing because he brings out that goblin hut again. And I don't know if I just need to use something in my deck that would be better defense against huts that people put out in the back, because I brought in this hog rider on the left side, and I think that was my mistake right there. I actually don't know how the rest of this game plays out. I don't remember it, but just looking at it and seeing what I did in that position, that probably wasn't the best idea, because I used the hog rider and freeze, which is a lot of elixir, you know, and I just don't know if it was worth it. You know, the Valkyrie's doing a pretty good job of holding him off, and we've got about a minute left, and he really hasn't done much damage to me whatsoever. You know, I'm feeling really good about this, and I don't know why, but I still keep trying to go take out this tower to the left. You know, thinking back on it, I'm just kind of really confused as to why I did that, because, you know, I have it down to a 511. I should have went for the sure thing. And then I have a misclick with the cannon. I should have had the cannon a little bit further away. I bring in my Valkyrie to try and take out his hog rider. He's got that musketeer doing some serious damage. About 20 seconds left. And for what it's worth, I just can't see myself losing this game. I actually don't remember how I lose this game. I really need to see this for myself. Because there's 6 seconds. Wait, maybe I do win this game. Am I an idiot? No. It probably goes into overtime. So he brings out the goblin hut. We go into sudden death. And I hope to God that... Why am I still trying to fight the left side? What am I doing? I don't understand. Or maybe I was worried about my hog rider, you know, trying to fight that goblin hut in the middle if I would have went to the right side. But even still, he went to the left side. And I think... Right now, I called in the minion horde to try and do as much damage on that right side tower as I could. And it's just, I was struggling so much to stop any of his troops, anything that he was using. It just kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I call on my Valkyrie here to do as much damage to those barbarians, but that fireball comes in clutch and just does too much splash damage to me and stops me from taking out those barbarians. So I don't know if you guys have any suggestions for me after watching that game right there. I would really appreciate it if you guys did. If you guys have made it all the way to the end of this video, here's where I sit currently at 1305 trophies. I even started a clan if you guys have any interest in joining it. It is actually called the Nade Brohood. We have about 819 trophies. There's only 3 members right now. I don't know if you guys have a clan or what joining a clan actually does for you on Clash Royale, but if you guys have any interest in that, feel free. I would love to have you guys. That's the Nade Brohood. I would love to see you guys in the clan. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have anything that you guys would like to say to me, any tips, suggestions, or how I should format these videos, I very much appreciate that as well. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and YouTube. We'll see you fudging later. Goodbye.